Hey folks, back again for another club interview in the Leinster area. So we're here with Balbriggan RFC and Jeff, what is your role at the club?
My role, I am the director of rugby and I am the head coach of the men's team as well.
Savage. Yeah, no, thanks a million for joining, Jeff, and taking time out of your busy schedule. So do appreciate that. We're
No, geez,
slowly
no
but surely getting
bother.
through.
Yeah, the stars aligned, I think, for this one because if you'd text any other night, I was saying sorry, but you caught a good night where there was no job. So fair play to you.
Yeah, and same as that. Actually, I don't know. It must have been in there in the stars for that one. Yeah, so look, kick off with something very easy, I suppose. And what we normally ask is like, when was the club founded?
Club founded in 1925. We had our centenary year there just last year, last season. We a lot of big kind of occasions for it to celebrate it and everything like that. So 101 years now this year, and still going strong, still growing. And I suppose now there's probably people, well, there is people better versed than me now to talk about the history of the club and everything like that. But I suppose the face of it stays the same in that it's a rugby club and everything like that. But in terms of, I suppose, the growth of the club and I suppose the how much it's changed over the years in terms of establishing a minis and then a youths and then establishing girls teams, establishing women's teams. Like rugby was obviously a male sport there for a long time, but obviously times have changed and we're very proud, I suppose. Well, there's no I suppose about it, sorry, it's just a tick, but we are very proud of our girls teams and our women's teams and our women's structure. And we've a disability tag team as well called the Stingers. And we're looking forward to we're looking forward, or we're looking ahead, I should say, to establishing hopefully different clubs in the future. We're signed up and a part of the IRFU Tryline or Sideline to Tryline initiative to get women involved in rugby as well. We have a number of our own initiatives as well in the club to help grow the game around the town. So I suppose from where we started in 1925 and where we are now, it's apples and oranges. Plenty has changed. There was a world war in between, but yeah, it's changed massively. But yeah, to answer, I suppose, to roll back to your question, 1925 is when we started.
Yeah, that's massive. Geez, that's well, I mean, fair play on the 101 years, I suppose. It must have been some party you must have had for the 100 years.
Ah, no, it was a good season. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was nice to. We had a big dinner dance to celebrate, and you know when you say to people like, "Are you going to the dinner dance?" The first thing they said was, "Well, we want to be around for the next 100 years, so yeah, let's go and enjoy it." So no, it was a good season. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, just fair play. I know you have to celebrate those things. For if you didn't, there'd be no point at all in doing anything. But it's great to hear that the women's division, is, as you said, is doing so well, and it is something that obviously we do have to focus on because, and I think I brought it up nearly in every single club interview that it has come up, is that girls unfortunately just fall off. It's a sport in general around the 14, 15 year age, and they probably would like to get back into it. So it's great to hear that you're doing that sideline
Yeah,
to try
well,
and.
I think girls falling out of sport is an issue all around the country.
Mhm.
I don't think it's just rugby alone, to be honest with you. I think it's just sport in general. But we have, girls playing from under sixes all the way up to women's, and we've girls teams, at under 14, 16 and 18s groups, and we've huge numbers there, and they're doing fantastic. And we've two women's teams as well. And funny enough, even there last season, at the end of year awards, um, a member of the club came up to me and gave me a program from a Leinster game. Oh geez, I don't know, but a few years ago, and our women's team had actually won Club of the Year or Team of the Year. So it was, there's lots of little memories like that along the way, which is great. Like I used to coach the women's team as well for a few years in the club, for 3 4 years, and you know even moving role, then you're still involved in the club, but a new role comes up, and it was quite a headache for a couple of weeks to try and figure out like if I wanted to stay with the women's team or just move on to the new role within the club. Like, and I suppose I had my wife's ear burnt off as well trying to figure it out. So it's just it's a side of the club we're very proud of. Our club captain is our women's captain, Holly Keogh, as well. So we're only one of 2 teams in Leinster to have a women's player as our club captain. And we've done a lot of work over the last, geez, I don't know, the last number of years, whatever it was, the last number of years anyway, in making sure that there was equality and parity across both our men's and women's teams. And I'd like to think they'd be the first to say it, that everything that one team gets, the other team gets. Nothing's offered or nothing's given without giving across the board. And you notice it. You like, I think a tie is another good example of it. You notice it after games, or even at games itself. The Sundays can be messy because the women's games tend to kick off at 1, and our games, the men's games, just tend to, I say the hours because I'm the head coach of the men, but the men's games tend to kick off at 3 o'clock or 2:30. So it can be tough to get to each other's games, but there's a lot of support between the 2 squads. So if there's a women's home game and we're playing at home, the men are playing at home. Sorry, I keep saying we because I'm just associated with the men this year, but let's say the women are playing at home this year and the men are playing at home. Or over the last few years, because it's an earlier kickoff for the women's team, the men's team will come down and guard of honour them onto the pitch. And the women's teams, then their games tend to finish that bit just before the men's teams kick off. So they come down and they reciprocate that guard of honour. And then if both teams win, like, you should see the pubs in Balbriggan that night. there's 60 odd players between men's and women's out together.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. I think any club that's not working on its girls and women's teams are probably, well, they are failing a little bit. I don't mean to throw shade or throw shots or anything like that, but you're alienating an entire half of the population, and you're losing out on unbelievable players and unbelievable memories as well. So we're very proud of our pathway, I suppose, for girls to women's rugby. A good example as well. Sorry, I don't mean to rant on.
Oh, yes, no, 100%.
Another good example would be, let's say, Alma Atagamen. So she's playing now with Leinster at the moment, and there's a wonderful photo up on our socials of one of our under 10s players, Leila Bell O'Donoghue. So she plays under 10s, and she has a picture there with Alma. But Alma started in the club through us doing Give It a Try there. I don't know when she started, maybe at this stage, could be 12 years ago.
Oh, wow.
But she started through our Give It a Try, more or less at the same age as Leila Bell, and Leila Bell then goes and watches her playing for Leinster, etc. And she's told her dad that she wants to be a tight head prop for Ireland. Her dad plays tight head, you see. So she wants to be a tight head prop for Ireland. And she said that to him, and that's from not only playing rugby, but also seeing our own players, like Erin McFadden's another example, like seeing our own players go on and get good representation, at Leinster and international level. And it's just something we're very proud of, really, as a club.
Yeah, geez, no, like you say that, and I get a little bit of goosebumps there, even just hearing that story, because it is exactly what it's all about. You need to create those role models for people, and especially young girls who might be a bit, not wanting to maybe go to rugby because it's just not afforded to them, or maybe they're just disinterested in sport. And that's a great story coming from, just give it a try, and then it turns out, well, you have a Leinster player there starting.
Oh yeah, and like I think the way we run it as well, like my own son plays under 6s at the moment, but his best friend Isla, who's actually Leila Bell's sister, his best friend Isla plays under 6s with him, like, so they're together in school all day, and then they go play sport together all day. And it's I think a long time ago, maybe you don't even need to go that far back, I suppose, but like, there was this misconception that rugby's a boys' sport or rugby's a man's sport, but like, you have boys and girls who are best friends in school together playing rugby together then, and it's just perfectly as it should be. It's just perfectly normal to see both boys and girls and men and women down at the club. And it's Rugby has changed in that landscape hugely, and sure, like I mean, women's sports is one of the most explosively growing sports
Mhm.
in the country at the moment. And you only have to go to an interpro to see, even when players are getting subbed off, they're there straight away signing autographs and stuff like
Yeah.
that. They're mixing and they're approachable, and it's fun, and that kind of
Mhm.
environment for any rugby fan is great. So you do see that creeping in an awful lot as well, even into the club game. Like we have an initiative as well in the club where senior players help youth teams and so on and so forth. And we've had like we have, let's say, a good example would be Sophie. Now she's one of our she's going to be under 11s this year. She goes to all the women's games. She runs the tee for us. She runs the kicking tee, I should say. She runs the kicking tee onto the pitch. And like there a couple of years ago when we got promoted, um, she was on the team bus going to the game. She was on the team bus coming home from the game
Mhm.
with her mum. Like, there's photos of her with the team and the cup.
Yeah.
There's a photo back in the clubhouse of Sophie on the groundskeeper's tractor with there's no keys now in it, but there's an unbelievable photo of
Yeah.
her with the cup in the groundskeeper's tractor as well back in the club. So like, it's just fantastic to have that pathway and to be able to offer that to girls and women, playing and coming through and showing them at the same time, like, that we have a track record of developing
Mhm.
players to the highest level, like, and that could be you kind of a thing. I know that 2020 Can't See, Can't Be campaign
Mhm.
was out there a number of years ago, but like, we'd like to think that it wasn't just a campaign. We'd like to think that it is actually just real life, if you get me.
Yeah. No, and look, I can hear it in your voice. It's very genuine there, and it's obviously shown with how successful your women's team is and how successful the minis are for you. I know I was looking these up. They're fantastic seasons throughout, really. Like, and it really shows, and it's that passion that you have alongside the club that brings people together. And stories like that is exactly what you want to come out of rugby, because it's all about built on respect, built on communities, built on each other, making sure that we're all getting up there and feeling included. So, and I personally, I love going to the women's games. If any chance I get down to Energy Park, I'll be down there, because they're a different kettle of fish when it comes to a match day. So I'm 100% on the same wavelength as you there. And myself, even personally, I've like a half a GA team worth of nieces there who are all at different stages, and I'd hate for them at any point to think, "What, I couldn't play that," or I don't have the opportunity to. So I have to implore you for that. Fair play. It's definitely shown, and you can hear it in your voice that it is something that you're very passionate about. So fair play, Jeff, and fair play, Balbriggan.
No, yeah, it is something we're hugely proud of, and it's never finished either. There's always another step you can go, and there's always something extra you can do. And just like any team or any club, you'll have struggles here and there, like between, I don't know, this, that, and the other. There'll always be something, But no, it is something we're hugely proud of, and something we like driving in that sense.
Yeah, no, fair play. No, I love that. I love that story, and hopefully people listen. I'm talking to clubs, so I'm trying to get through the 71 clubs, and that obviously is including an awful lot of maybe the women's clubs that are independent. There's even the Three Saints there, which
Yeah,
part of Guinness. There just wasn't enough in the one club for Guinness, so they just amalgamated into three, and that is nice, because we do support them there as much as we can. And there's flyers going out there, and we're including them in a big section on the flyer. So it is a big part of trying to get that going, and building through and talking to people. It's great to hear that.
oh yeah, and like, amalgamation is just an important part, like, in making sure it happens, because like, our under 14, 16, and 18 girls were amalgamated with Ashburn. So there's an awful lot of work on both. I probably should have said that earlier, but there's an awful lot of work on both sides, making sure that that's a successful venture, and there's been other teams in the past. Like, I remember there was one team not so long ago that couldn't field. So what we did was we offered to take their players, etc., for a season, and they kind of came across to us just for a season, just to transfer
Mhm.
across so they could play. And literally, it was they transferred back to their own club then the following year when they had players, but it was, or had a team, sorry, for them to go into. So again, there was no kind of cod acting, or there was no messing or anything. It was literally like, we just want the girls to be playing, kind of a thing. And it doesn't matter where, as long as they're playing, that's the main
Yeah.
thing. And even a couple of years ago now, with ourselves, our own under 14s team, we had very low numbers, and we jumped in with Skerries for a season,
Oh yeah, fair.
and Skerries were very, very good. And like, because we had much lower numbers than them, just for that age group. But our coach at the time, David Sands, he deserves huge credit in just the work he put in that season to make sure that the girls we had somewhere to play, kept playing. And then there was somewhere for them the following season, when players aged up, and we had our own big under 14s team, with Ashburn again. So it does happen, I think, when players just have to tip away, like, and they are some of the pitfalls you might have, especially in some clubs where you might have to amalgamate for a season or two. But the juice is worth the squeeze at the end of it, because you're playing, you're keeping players, you're retaining players. And I think that's, like, playing is, I think you can go training as much as you want, and you can have your Tuesday, Thursday sessions, but you train to play. And if you're not kind of playing, and if you're not getting a chance to show off what you're learning, that becomes frustrating. So it is like, amalgamation does become an important element in times. And you might not want to, and you might want to try and keep building on your own, but sometimes you just need a hand, and there's nothing wrong with that either. So, I don't even know how I got on this topic. I don't know how to segue off it, to be honest. But I suppose, like, what I'm trying to say is, if amalgamation can be part and parcel with what you're trying to do at times, and rather than fight it, sometimes I suppose you are just better off accepting it, and ensuring that there is a place to play for players.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I even see it down. I often talk about Westmeath, it's where I'm actually from, and living in Dublin, obviously playing with Guinness there season before, and that. But you even see it in the GAA now. You have amalgamations there, left, right, and centre, because the villages are just getting smaller. So it's better to have them playing than have them sitting on the sideline looking at other people play. So 100% agree with you there. I suppose we'll segue from that, and a big part of amalgamations and the women's divisions and even the men's divisions, I suppose, is the Leinster Rugby relationship there. And how has it been for Balbriggan? Is there a good bit of support there from Leinster Rugby? Is the visibility good? And so on.
Yeah, no, it's we have a Leinster Rugby summer camp in the summer, and I would work with a number of them. I would not work with, but I'd work alongside, I suppose. The likes of Stephen Costello, it's Hughes, and they come down a couple of times a year, and we discuss what we're doing and various initiatives we have. We obviously have CCRO as well, in the club and stuff like that. So there is support there. Yeah, we've hosted, like, even there a few weeks ago now, we hosted a friendly. We hosted Leinster Ulster as a kind of warm-up game for the women's Interpro series. So we have we've a very good relationship with them. Yeah, I don't really know what to say, but it's we work well with them. We good communication there, good support there. And Leo the Line wouldn't be a stranger around the club either. We hold blitzes then as well for schools. And again, it's well run, good contact and stuff. So yeah, like, it's great. It's nice to have the support. It's nice to know that you have someone you can, like, in I suppose more in my sense, like in the DOR role, it's nice to know that I can just pick up the phone and get in touch with someone pretty easily. It's not like sending an email and hoping that something comes back in the next few days. Like, it's literally just pick up the phone and make a phone call. So it's great that way. So no, yeah, it's a very good working relationship.
Yeah, good. No, it's good to hear. I think I haven't had someone say anything bad about him yet. Maybe it's probably not the best idea to say something bad about him on a public podcast, but I've definitely heard people saying, like, the CROs are obviously very good, and they're always reaching out and helping out any way they can. So that's great to hear. And it's all about making sure that the grassroots rugby survives, because if there's no grassroots, sure, there'll be no.
Well, that's it exactly. Like, it's in it is in Leinster's interest as a whole to make sure that the grassroots clubs are developing and growing and being as strong as they can be, because ultimately, like, that's what kind of, that in schools fund the pro game, so
Mhm.
everything kind of works towards that direction. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and I suppose the complete flip of that, I suppose, is the local community, and I think you hinted at it a little bit, when there's a match day and you both win, that there's 60 odd people in the community pub, mind you. But what is the community like for Balbriggan? Is there a big drive for people to come to the matches? These, I think you hinted at a bit of schools there as well. Do you have good contacts with them to try and teach them rugby as well?
yeah. So what I would say about the people, first off, and the community, is it's hugely welcoming. Like, you can probably tell from my accent, I'm not from Leinster, full stop. Like, but Um, I remember I emailed Balbriggan looking to get in touch with a team just to get involved with, because I was moving up, and I wasn't looking to coach. I wasn't looking for any role in particular. I just said, like, I'm looking to get involved with a team.
Hmm.
And I sent the email off to the club, and the very next day I was in having a cup of tea with the president and the director of rugby at the time, and with Leo Toole and Ivan McFadden, literally the very next day, I'd say within 24 hours, and was asked would I be interested in being an assistant coach of the women's team with Mick McKiernan, who was the head coach at the time.
Mm.
And I said, yeah, absolutely, I would love that, and kind of haven't looked back since. And anyone who's come to the club has had the exact same thing to say. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I can offer an outsider's view and say that the people in the club are just incredibly, incredibly welcoming. And that's from, the executive committee down to, minis players who see you show up to help for a session, it's, and their parents. So it's actually, it's a hugely, hugely friendly and welcoming place. In terms of, sorry, what was the second part of that question?
I just more so with, in terms of like the schools, even, do you have a good
Oh yeah,
involvement?
sorry, apologies. Yeah. So yeah, and anything we try and run. So, like, probably our biggest downfall as a club, to be honest, is the fact that we are outside the town.
Mhm.
It's our location. Now, our location allows us to have fantastic facilities. Like, we've 4 incredible pitches thanks to our groundsman. We've a brand new clubhouse. We've planning permission now to go in for a gym. We've an Astro pitch there as well, like a massive car park. So the grounds we have are fantastic. And anytime we host, like, we hosted the Aviva under 10s Leinster Blitz there back in April of this year, and every single coach who came down had nothing but nice things to say about the
Yeah.
facilities and the pitches and everything like that. So our location affords us to have those fantastic facilities. But on the opposite side of the coin, there's no footpaths down to the club because it's down a country
Yeah.
road. It's just outside the town. So if you wanted to get to it, you essentially, like, you need to have a lift, or you need to have a car. Yeah, like, the older teenagers and
Mhm.
adults can cycle, and I get that. Like, but it's not like you can just walk down the road, with the footpath there beside you, and just go in. So that's probably our biggest downfall.
Mhm.
But we work very hard on not only advertising but trying to spread the game. So a couple of our initiatives, for example, so over the summer now, every Thursday night and throughout July and August, we've been running rugby on the green in a housing estate in Balbriggan called Taylor Hill. And
Oh, nice.
essentially what it is was, we got in touch with the residents association there, and we said, are you okay if we run this? We'd love to run it. We run it for free. We bring down all the gear that's needed. We set up, we make sure the green is, there's no rubbish or dog mess or
Yeah.
anything like that. And 6:30 to 7:30, we just play rugby games with the kids that show up, and we are lucky enough to be sponsored by Glenveigh for that
Mhm.
initiative. So that kind of pays for, well, it does, it pays for the balls and the bibs and the little mini balls we give the kids and stuff like that as well to take home. So, like, that's one initiative that we run where the community has been so welcoming. Like, it's been fantastic to go down there. Another one we are running is we started in February in primary schools. So we advertised saying we will send coaches into your primary school once a week, again for free, to take rugby with your classes. So that one's a little bit harder to organise because the coaches we have, the hours in the school has to align with their schedule as well. So
Yeah.
let's say you only have one coach free on a Monday, but two schools ask you for a Monday. One of the schools has to miss out, and it's just a resources thing. It's like you'd love to send them to every school, but we can only do what we have the resources for. But again, we send in a coach to work with. It's usually the same classes, or they might go in for 2 hours or 3 hours and work across three classes, if that makes sense. But essentially, the coach goes in, takes the class for the hour, and just coaches them rugby every week, same day, same time every week for free. And we'll be running that from September as well. And again, there was huge demand for it in the last school term. We were turning schools away, unfortunately, just because we just don't have the resources to get to all of them. But we'll be running that again now in September, and again, the school's super happy with it. Really happy to have us in, and again, our CCRO then as well, who works for Leinster, our club CCRO. They're obviously in schools as well, a slightly different capacity. Because they're in as a Leinster employee, whereas the primary one we run, that's just us. So it's Balbriggan gear, etc., and it's from a Balbriggan perspective, So it's slightly different in that sense. And then we have a number of different initiatives, like we have a family fun day coming up now on September 6th. We're hosting the Beachy Cup inside the club, so we've an open day for the public to come in that day. We're starting a little under sixes academy on a Saturday morning in Taylor's Hill as well, or in Taylor Hill, sorry, as well. Taylor's Hill is in Galway. We'd be doing well to get them to come across there. But we've a number of different initiatives like that is very heavily based on the community and them being open to it, them welcoming us, them even allowing us to come into the housing estate, like in terms of the residents association there, and the schools allowing us in. So we are, I suppose we're very proud of the relationship we're building with the community and the relationship we do have already with the community. We're looking to grow it as much as we can, like that Rugby on the Green initiative. When we were initially spitballing it, it used to be run in the club before, a few years ago. It was before my time anyway, and I think it could have been like full contact rugby between on the green, but we said we'd tone it down a small bit and just go for tag and touch at the moment. But we were actually planning on putting that in, hopefully in 3 or 4 housing estates, and then we kind of had a chat about it and said, listen, let's not stretch ourselves too thin first. Let's do it once, do it well, see what works. And it's been fantastic, and the kids love it. The parents are very appreciative of it. The residents association are very pleased with it, So we're very lucky, I suppose, to have the community we have around. Well, there's no I suppose about it. We are very lucky to have the community we have around us. To have just such a welcoming town, with people who are just there was actually a fantastic expo on I was about to say a couple of weeks ago, but it's a couple of months ago now at this stage, where all the teams and clubs and societies in Balbriggan set up a stall at the community centre, and it was just unbelievable to see the amount of stuff that you can not only do in the town, but just how happy people were to, different clubs were happy to chat to each other to oh, this works well for you, how do you do that, and just kind of share, I suppose, the inside secrets and stuff like that. But we're also a big believer in information should be shared. So like we're happy to talk about any initiatives we have. Like another one, for instance, we have sorry, no, I know I'm rambling on here.
No, that's the whole point.
But I suppose if you're listening to this now, you're probably turned me off already. But even with our minis now, we're revamping our minis this year, to put in a few different changes here and there just to make it more attractive and more fun, etc. But we have a rugby passport called Mini Milestones as well.
That's savage.
That all our minis players gets. And essentially, at every age grade, there's different skills that will build up to when you get to youth. You've covered everything. Like, and
Mm.
it sounds like we're trying to be technical and stuff like that, but it's really not. Like, if you look at the under sixes page, it's literally catch the ball
Yeah.
and run with the ball,
I
and
might
it's
I
just
might can
little.
get that myself now. In fairness, so I'll
But
have to go and get that.
but it's literally just things that, when they come home from training and they sit with their adult and they say, or the adult, says like, "Did you catch the ball today?" And the kid says, "Yeah," and they get to tick that box, and suddenly
Yeah.
they're delighted they got to tick that box, and that's all it is. It's not, it's not anything technical. It's not like, did you how was your tackle tech or anything like
But you
it's
hinge
literally,
into
did you
hips
catch?
there now. You're gonna get
Yeah,
next.
yeah. There's nothing like that. But what we're hoping is that it creates that conversation between the adult and the child about the child's training,
100%.
and also, it gets the parent out of the car at training, but it also makes the child like, did you see me catch the ball? Did you,
Yeah.
will you watch me this week and make sure I catch the ball again, and whatever. Like, and there's no doubt the child will catch the ball, but it's having that conversation afterwards that, brings the training session home.
Hmm.
Because, like, I have a 5-year-old at the moment. Well, I've 3 kids, but the eldest is 5. But he could come home from school and, you'd say, "How was school?" He'd say, "Fine." "What you
Yeah.
do today?" "Oh, I don't really remember."
Yeah.
And like, he could have had a snake around his shoulders or something that day, and he'd say, "Oh, I don't know." And,
Yeah.
but whereas if he like, but he does the mini milestones booklet as well. And after training on a Thursday, well, it's usually a Friday morning because I have to go off with the men's team after the under sixes. But like, the Friday morning, he's like, "Oh, we have to do my rugby book," and
Jeez. Yeah. Fair play.
we sit down and we tick it, and it works, and
Yeah.
it's something else we're very proud of. So, all these little things, it seems like 100 little things, but they all add up to one very big thing, and
Yeah.
it's yeah, I suppose to have these initiatives, and especially the community who are happy to help run them and be open to them, that makes all the difference. Because you could have the best will in the world, but if the people around you aren't interested, it's not going to go anywhere. So we're very lucky with the people around us. Absolutely.
No, and just look, they're equally as lucky to have you, because by the sounds of it, you hinted that you don't want to stretch yourselves too thin, but was sounded fairly well packed in there. So fair
Yeah.
play to you.
Yeah, no, yeah. You don't want to stretch yourself too thin, but then you kind of
No.
do at the same time, don't you? So it's yeah, actually you have to at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but look, the fair play to you, and more to you. I hope you are able to retain that and do more again, because it's it's fantastic to hear even just that uh, you know innovation, nearly, just to say, give the kids a little bit of reward to go back and have that discussion. That's a genius idea. Like, that should be
Yeah, and
implemented across the whole
it's
the
but
province.
I think it is something that like a lot of clubs probably do on some level. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's I think you do it without thinking of it. Your
Mhm.
coaches the following week will say, like, "Do you remember last week we were doing XYZ?" Or, "Go home, make sure now you go home now and practice this with your friends or
Yeah,
your brother or your sister or whatever it may be." Like, and I suppose all we were trying to do is just flick it a little bit to give that sense of achievement to the child. Because, like I said, there's nothing technical. There's nothing they can actually fail at here.
yeah, exactly.
It's all stuff that they do anyway, but they get, they see the ticks across the board, and they get to do the book themselves, and they see them add up. And
Hmm.
even if there is something they forgot to do, like, God knows what it is like, but even if there is something that they go, "Oh, I don't know if I kick the ball," suddenly they're like, "Right, next week I'll definitely kick the ball." And
Exactly. Yeah,
they're already thinking forward or looking
yeah,
forward to going back to training again. So that's all it is. Like, it's taking what you already do,
yeah.
and what kids already do, but just changing it that little bit, that it's something physical that they can see, if that makes sense.
No, it does. Yeah, but just don't let them realize that it's homework, and then
No,
they'll
no.
be, you know,
Yeah.
hold on, no, I didn't actually
I,
do this.
as soon as they think it's homework, now you're gone, like, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's no, it's proven it like, and also, sorry, and I don't mean to harp on about it, but like,
No, no,
what
do.
it also does as well is, like at that age, like at under six and under sevens, you're obviously very hopeful that parents will get involved. Like the older the game, or the older you get as you go through the game, the more technical it gets,
Hmm.
and people who may not know much about it might be hesitant to step in, and they may not want to get involved. But what we were hoping to do as well is to give simple aims to not only to the coaches already coaching the team. Like if you can nail these three before next year, hopefully they can nail three more, and then they all those skills start to add up. Amongst all the other skills you do
Hmm.
obviously as well. But for the parent coach, who suddenly, you turn around to a parent at under sixes and you say, listen, will you give us a hand coaching here? And they say, oh sure, I don't know anything about the game. You're like,
Yeah.
well, listen, all I have to do is catch the ball, run straight. That's all I want. Like, and after that, you can do that playing Simon Says. It's
Yeah.
it's it's it's
Exactly. Yeah.
very straightforward. And suddenly the parent is maybe that bit more comfortable, because there's almost a blueprint or a guideline for them to say, okay, all I have to do is like, and even if the parent is only taking 10 minutes of the session to play
Hmm.
one game, where all they have to do is catch the ball or run straight or something like that, like that parent is suddenly in, and
Yeah.
over the next whatever 10 years, over the next like 6 years until they get to youth, they're also learning the game with their child, which I think is also like a really beautiful thing, and they get
Hmm.
to go through minis with their own child as well. So like it's there's a I suppose there's a number of different facets to it. Not just the skill set of the child, which is ultimately what we weren't even thinking about really when we put it together. It was more the enjoyment and
Yeah.
drawing the parent out, and making sure we're giving the child that kind of excitement to come back the following week. If you get me, the skills thing is just
Hmm.
not an afterthought, but it's a bonus, if you get me.
Yeah. No, and look, it's half the battle is getting the parents on board as well. Sometimes, because like they could be a bit, they mightn't even know really what the sport is, especially if they didn't have a very sporty family growing up. They might think of rugby as it was 20 years ago, which it definitely isn't now. So,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, and you're right. Like, and it's not only that, but they might look at it, and they might only see it on the TV.
mhm.
They're watching Ireland versus South Africa, and they're seeing someone get destroyed in a tackle or something, and they're thinking, "Oh Jesus, my child's playing that," but it's not the
Yeah,
same. It's at under sixes, like it's only touch anyway. So like,
bit,
what they
yeah,
see on TV actually doesn't translate to
yeah,
minis rugby, or to even adult rugby at junior level. So
yeah,
it's apples and oranges really to what they see, and it's given that opportunity to say, like, it's not as tactical,
yeah.
it's not down to the same centimeters and millimeters as you see on TV. It's actually far more enjoyable, and more open, like, so
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's,
do.
it's kind of changing that perspective as well.
Yeah, I know, I do often say, it's like watching the Olympics. I remember there was that one time, I think it was Uzbekistan or someone had put forward the son of some royal lad, and he wasn't an Olympian at all, but he got to actually realize how intense those actual Olympians are, because he was left in the dust and they were gone. And you kind of don't have that same reflection when you're watching international rugby, as he said, because there's lads smashing each other left, right, and center. That
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's not You're not going to see that on it. Well, if you do, fair play, send them back up to Leinster, I
Yeah,
suppose.
that's it. Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
not going to see that level of play in the domestic league. So, or at least I hope he wouldn't done. I'd
We're
be
working on it.
bent
We're
double.
working on
Ah, no, yeah.
it.
Well, Jez, you are with the passport anyway. You're training
Yeah.
a load of super soldiers coming up there now through Balbriggan. But no, look, I mean, fair play. Look, you can tell by even chatting to you, Jeff, that it is a passion for you. And you say that you came in as a volunteer nearly, and you got for to the assistant coach for the women's, and you're obviously director of rugby now. So you've been there a while, and you've said and done a lot of good things to get that position, I assume.
Well, I was actually only thinking there the last day how long I've been there. I think it's only maybe 7, 8 years.
Harold
To
Stentall
be
sound.
honest, um, no, it is. To be honest with you, and I don't know what I've said to end up where I am now. I've obviously said the wrong things to suddenly to be in this role, but it was something. I think, if I remember correctly, I think I became the head coach of the women's team, and I was the head coach for a while. And I think I was at a wedding with one of our club members, and I think I was just wearing the ear off him, really. Like, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing the other? And I was like, there's so much potential. We need to tap into it. And he mentioned then the DOR role, and I was like, no, not a chance, not me, no, thank you. And then I suppose the drinks wore off, and the conversation arose again, and yeah, that's kind of how that came about. Really, it's well, there's more to it than that. Like, there's the executive committee and all that jazz that
Yeah,
have
no,
to agree,
yeah.
and all that jazz. But yeah, no, it's like it's funny, like when you say you've been there for 7 years or 8 years, whatever it may be. You don't think it's been that long, but when you kind of sit back, and I suppose when you think back and take stock, like, it's over a quarter of your life that you've been involved, like,
Yeah.
so it's funny when you think of it that way. But geez, I suppose either time flies when you're having fun, or time flies when you're too busy to sit down. So it's somewhere between the two, I suppose.
Yeah, I know, a hybrid of the two of them, I
Yeah,
assume.
I
Yeah.
think it is. Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
is.
Well, you must be enjoying it, because it would have been a very long 8 years, and you'd be taking toll of all of them if it wasn't. So that's
And like it is like it's again, not to harp on about it, like, but not only the welcoming side of the club, like the people there, like you're surrounded by good people who are all like there's countless people you could thank. Do
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Above there, like, and like there's a number of people that comes to mind for me, like, but then you think a second time, and there's 50 more, so like literally you're surrounded by good people who are all working to the same goal.
Yeah,
And of course, now and again, you're going to have split views on stuff, and you might think this is the best way of doing it, and I might think this is the best way of doing it, and we do it a third way, and nobody's happy, and that's probably the best way of doing it. But you're ultimately surrounded by people who want to see the club succeed and
yeah,
grow. So, like, everyone pitches in, like everyone kind of says to themselves, well, this is for the betterment of the club, and that's kind of the end of it. And I know, like, I got involved when we didn't have any children, and now we have three.
yeah,
And the way I look at it is, like, I want to create something that my kids will say, like, why wouldn't you want to be a part of that? Like, it's
100%.
fantastic. And I do think it's as simple as that. um you want to create something that you look at and can just be especially proud of. And we are, above already. Like, we're not finished by any stretch.
Yeah,
There's a heap of work left to do. But when you do sit back in, it's hard to do sometimes, because you'll get a message saying, oh, this happened or that happened, or they lost, or whatever, and you're kind of sitting there, and you're like, Jesus, like, I just want one good day. You
yeah,
kind of do forget that, like, you do have good days, and like, I remember, not long ago, there was a two or three issues kind of, going on, and suddenly our women's team won the league. They won D2 to get promoted into D1, and our men's team also won. That was it that weekend, maybe, or the following weekend. It was one or the other, anyway, to get promoted as well. And I remember that evening, I was sitting at home, and my wife was like, "So what are you going to do about the other three issues?" And I was like, "No, not tonight. Not like today. Like, this was a good week. We enjoy
yeah.
this week, and the problems will be there tomorrow."
Exactly, exactly.
So you do have the good days where you sit back, and it doesn't even have to be promotion. Like, I think if anyone listening to this involved in club rugby will know what I mean, when sometimes it might just be a text from a mini's parent to a
Hmm.
coach that says, "Listen, thanks so much. My daughter or my son was very shy, but they've grown so much." It's something like that that actually
Yeah.
affects the person rather than the club.
Mhm.
That's the real, that's the money right there. That's what you're really working towards as well. So they're the good days too. Those little moments that you get to celebrate, and you get to enjoy. And when you like, you I mentioned earlier, we put on the Aviva Under 10s festival there this
Yes.
year. And you just see, you look out, and you look at the number of volunteers you have on the day to make sure it's running smoothly, between players who've put themselves forward, or club volunteers, or club members who've put themselves forward, or you know photographers who put themselves forward just to help on the day and capture the day. And you kind of think to yourself, like, geez, we are building something real special here.
Yeah.
And there are moments like that. And it's easy to forget them, when you look at your list of jobs to do and you feel snowed under and you think, Jesus, the work's never finished. But then you see the fruits of the labour from the past and you think, you know what, we're on the right road at the same time. So there are the good days you have to celebrate as well, And it doesn't have to be a promotion, or it doesn't have to be a win to celebrate those little wins either,
Yeah, no, just 100%. Yeah, I think it was my father used to say to me, is it's easy to forget the good things and hard to forget the bad things. So that you have to get past that mentality. So
yeah, that's exactly it. It is easy to forget the good things. It really is, especially when as I said, you're up the walls, busy. You're doing 10 jobs and you get a message that makes you, that's the straw that breaks the camel's back. You do forget that there's 100 good things
you're on the
edge
as well, 3 text messages before that.
That's probably the one piece of advice I would give to someone if they're getting involved in a DOR role for the club, is to get a work number. My wife said it to me long ago, and I said, no, it'll be fine. And I'm at the stage now where if I got a new number, it's for personal reasons rather, because my own number is ruined at this stage. But,
good advice. I'll pass that on with the next couple of interviews as I go through them. No, Jeff, look, fair play to you. Look, I only have 2 more questions. I want to keep you now for the rest of the evening there, but the last two,
I think it's me keeping you now.
No, Jesus, no, this is fantastic. Thanks so much. It's great to listen to someone who's very passionate and coming from a great community. So it's a perfect interview to go from that. But I'll ask you this one, and then I'll give you the next section. Will be just to give you a blurb to go on and shout out to everyone who can come down and when to come down and so on. But the question I want to ask is, if you had one opportunity to get a Leinster or an Ireland player, either former or current, come down for a training session, who would it be?
Ooh, Genie Mackers, that's a question, isn't it? I'd probably aim for a present player. Well, if we're going present, and does it have to be a Leinster player? Like, it couldn't be
doesn't
a
know.
Player. No, I'm only joking. If I had to get a Leinster player down, one I'd love to get down would probably be the likes of Caelan Doris, maybe. Like I know Caelan. I would have taught him in school and stuff like that, and just to see, like, he got capped for Ireland very young, and he became a Leinster captain at what would have been a young age as well for a captain too, and took it in his stride, and just the way he carries himself, like it's a great example for our minis and youths to see what's needed to become a professional, because Caelan would have been very professional, going through school and stuff like that as well. So he would be my choice of Leinster players to come down. Him or Tommy O'Brien. Tommy's very much the same, and he's overcome an awful lot of injuries to keep working to, get capped internationally and now to be a regular face as well, in the big games. So Caelan or Tommy, just for the examples they'd set to the youngsters.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. They're 2 very good heads on 2 very good shoulders there, in fairness, and they seem like very class acts, the 2 of them. They're even in I know they're very well media trained now, in fairness, but when they're in an interview, it does seem like they're very down to earth, and they would like to give that knowledge as much as they can. So sure, look, if I said it to everyone so far, I'll do my best to get them down to you. If you're listening to this, very much, fair play to them for listening. But I'll try my best. And also on that as well, I'll try my best to get the county council to give you a footpath down to that pitch. It's the one issue you need.
I don't think it's the county council's fault either. I just think it's the road that it is, etc.
Oh yeah.
It's just one of those things, I suppose, that we'll have to just keep working towards.
Sure. Where there's a will, there's a way. I'm sure you'll do it with the passion you've had so far and all the work you've been doing. It should be a small act raise, I'd say that.
I'll just go on strike outside the county council office. That'll work. That'll do the job.
Well, it'll do something anyway. It'll get in the paper. Really. Yeah, sorry, Jeff. So anyway, just very last thing, I'll give you a moment here. Just tell if there was a listener who want to get involved with Balbriggan, how would they go about doing that?
Oh, well, I suppose the easiest way to find us or to get information on us is either our website. If you just Google Balbriggan RFC, our website comes up. It's updated often, so all the current information's there. or on our social media. Again, if you search Balbriggan RFC on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, we come up. And again, it's well manned. There's always someone at the other end of the phone or on the other end of the message to get back to you. And then we advertise all our matches and training times and so on and so forth as well on them, and on the website. So you'll find them there, but you'll also probably find my phone number there listed as well, so you can just get in touch with me. You won't be the first or last, but outside of that, then if you want to come training, any night of the week, if you call down, someone's inside in the club. You know, someone is training Monday to Friday. In the evening time, if you're looking for information, if you wanted to call down, someone will be there. And then weekends as well, you know, people tend to be knocking about the place, especially when the season kicks off. So probably the easiest way is on social media, and you'll find phone numbers, and you'll find, you know, you just send a DM, whatever, people will be straight back to you as well. And all our contact details are there too. So that's probably the easiest way to get in touch or to figure out how to come down, outside of literally just showing up physically down at the club.
Yeah, 100%. Jeff, fair play. Once again, thanks so much for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you and chatting all about Balbriggan and everything you're doing. So more to you. I hope you continue that growth, and do the work. Has to have some reward, and I hope it is rewarding, because you're doing stellar work, and I'm delighted to hear it. So thanks again for joining.
No bother. Thanks a million for having us.
Yeah, thank you.